Episode 26. Developing Hobbies as a Stay-at-Home Mom. When you pour your heart and soul into your kids, it is so easy to lose yourself along the way. But I really shouldn't say lose yourself. You can never really lose yourself because obviously here you are listening to this podcast. You're here. You're you. But we can forget who we were or forget what we used to love. When we stop cultivating our interests, we forget them. And yes, maybe we don't have as much time for our favorite hobby as we used to, but does that mean we should give it up completely? Does that mean we can't replace it with something else? In this episode, you'll learn how to remember who you are, how to make time for you, and how not to feel guilty about it. All right, let's get into it. Hi, I'm Lindsay Clyde, and this is the Learn, Live, Love Yourself podcast, where we learn who we are, live true to who we want to be, and love ourselves better every day. If your passion is progress, then you're in the right place. Each week, we tackle pop challenges that push our limits and create lasting change. Are you ready? It's time to grow. Come learn, live, love yourself with me. This episode is brought to you by my 10 Days to Social Media Freedom workbook. If you are feeling like you are done using social media as your pastime and you want to try something new, you want to expand yourself and develop your talents, I've got a workbook for you that will help you set down social media and make commitments to yourself that will push you to develop in ways that you have not for such a long time. If you want this workbook, it's at learnliveyourself.com/no social media. Okay? Hope you love it. I had Kate, my firstborn, a month and a half after graduating college. My whole working and student life just came to an abrupt halt, and suddenly, I was a mother. Looking back, I'm glad that I chose to be a stay-at-home mom. It was much easier stress-wise, I think, than going back to work would have been, but it was not easier in the arena of personal development. With nothing to get up for every morning, we would just sleep in after waking up every few hours during the night. I would stay in my pajamas all day. I would maybe do some laundry, maybe. And other than that, I'd watch Netflix. And when you're a mom of only one child, it's your first one, newborns are so boring. They don't really do anything, and they can't really even look at you. And as a new mom, I was just so overwhelmed. I put everything on hold just to try and learn what to do to take care of her. I didn't even feel the joy of being a mother for quite some time. And if you're the same way, please reach out. We need to be talking more about this. Because when I'm faced with new and unfamiliar situations, I go into a robot-like state. You know, feed her, change her, feed her, take a nap, change her. Do you get it? I mean, over and over again, just to make sure I was ticking all the boxes. But these were the slowest days of my life. I didn't have any friends. I didn't really want any friends. Rory and Lorelai were enough for me. And the clock, man, the clock was my enemy because every time I looked up at it, it was not anywhere near 5:30 when Steve would be home and I could actually talk to an adult again. Then life got easier. I was fulfilling my role as a new mom with more confidence, and I wasn't in survival mode anymore. Like I had time to think and breathe. But who was I? What did I even like doing? And how would any of those things that I potentially liked fit into my new life? Does this story sound familiar to you? Is this your story? Maybe not the Gilmore Girls part, but it's time to learn who you are right now. What do you even like doing? Maybe you used to be into running, but your knees hurt now and so you can't anymore. This is a valid life circumstance, which happens to a lot of people. Don't be sad that you are in a different stage of life. Okay, you can be sad. It's okay to mourn the loss of something we love. That's fine and healthy. But don't wallow so much that it keeps you from exploring other options. What about swimming? What about biking? If you're looking into getting into exercise again, but don't really know where to start, check out episode 16, How to Make Exercising Fun. I've got all my tips right in there. But forget exercising. What about reading? Do you like to read? What do you like to read? What about dancing? What about learning to sew, or taking care of a pet, or playing Tamagotchi, or gardening, calling people, calling your friends, bird watching, people watching, painting your nails, learning to cut hair, that's me, playing a game, doing a puzzle? These are just ideas. I'm stopping here because I'm not going to go through the list of all the things you could possibly do, but maybe one of those things sounds fun, or it gives you an idea about something you used to love that you might want to start doing again. Now think about what you value. Adventure? Collecting things? Organizing? Learning? Connecting with people? All of these values have so many branches that come out of them for things that fit into those categories. And sometimes asking yourself what you love to do alone as a teenager is really helpful to remind you of what brings you joy. The teens are a very selfish time, and they are also a time of self-discovery. So living as an adult or as a mom can strip away that selfishness, which is a great thing, but remembering our young selves can actually help us determine what we want to do as a hobby as an adult. What would be the most fulfilling use of your time? Think about it. For me, I got back into exercising. And I did some exercises that I had never done before having kids. Like I actually ran the treadmill, which is a huge breakthrough for me while watching Property Brothers on HGTV in the little gym of our apartment complex. Well, Kate just sat in her car seat or slept. Is what I had to do. I had to try something new. And this is the key, is that we have to push ourselves to try something new. If our old hobbies don't fit into our new lives, we have to be okay trying something new. And it's hard and it's sad and it's annoying sometimes. But what's the alternative? We rather push our boundaries, push ourselves to do something different, or sit stuck and dissatisfied with our lives. For me, the answer is obvious. Push, move, try. And I'm so glad that I have Steve because he helps me to really do that. Anyway, when considering personal interests, we have to be reasonable about how much time we actually have in our new lives. I love to paint, but my me time is during the kids' nap time. So I have about an hour and a half to 2 hours sometimes to fit in a painting session. So with getting out all the materials and setting it up and then getting into the flow, 2 hours for me is not enough to finish a painting. And I also don't like having to clean up all the paints, hurry, they're awake, they're going to try and get into this stuff. It's not for me right now. And that's okay. So consider your own life. How much time and when is that time that you actually have on a daily basis to do something for yourself? How much time on a weekly basis do you have to do something maybe bigger for yourself? I believe it is so important to do something for yourself daily and weekly as well. So when thinking about how to find time for your hobby, think about the per day time and also the per week time that you can devote to this. Maybe you have 30 minutes a day for yourself, and once a week you have about an hour and a half one night or something like that. I don't know. This is your life. So it's time to learn what time you have for yourself. And this might mean that you have to cut out things that aren't as important or aren't as fun to you. Social media. I've said it a million times. What would you rather be doing than scrolling around social media? Episodes 18 and 19 are all about this, and go back to those if you're having a hard time with social media. If you have a book on your phone or a favorite journaling app or a sketch pad close by, you can spend that social media time actually doing something way more fun than social media, and you will feel more fulfilled and peaceful and happier as well. So think about it. What time do you have? What can you take out of your life so that there's a bit more time for the things you love? And if that is really only 5 minutes per day and 15 minutes per week, you make that space for yourself. Put a reminder in your phone. For 5 minutes, I'm going to read this book that has nothing to do with school, it has nothing to do with work or personal growth. It's just for fun because I love time and space fantasy novels. Okay? And 5 minutes is all you've got. You just get into it and you re-energize through doing something that lights you up. Okay? So now let's live this. This one's an easy one to live. Just go and do your hobby. Okay? Just go and do it. Put it in the calendar and make time for it. But wait. Oh no, the guilt, right? It weighs you down. I shouldn't be doing this, you think. I have so much other stuff to get done. Just look at all these things on my list. Okay? First rule of developing hobbies, put it on the list. If it's on the list of things to do, then you trick your brain into being happier that you are putting off the laundry for 45 minutes to do your hobby. And why would you do that? Because you come back refreshed and with a little zing, little zing in your step, and then you cross that off your list and then you feel this accomplishment. I did it, you say. I got something done. And not only is it done, but it was so fun. And you are pumped and you have more energy to go off and do all the rest of that boring stuff on your to-do list. Trick your brain into thinking your hobby is a task that needs to get done, just like the dishes or making dinner, and you will feel less guilt about it each time. The next tip I have for avoiding hobby guilt is to get your spouse on board. And I've mentioned Steve before, but Steve is great at this. He is always pushing me out the door to go and do things that will trigger those inner parts of me that have been sleeping for so long. It's probably because he wants me to be a better, read, happier wife, and so it's good for him and it's good for me, and I'm happy with that. So here's some more tips about talking to your spouses about having a little bit of me time for your hobbies. Sit down and talk about needs. He has them, you have them. Compromise about how much time you will each spend each week on personal development. It's something that completely is independent of spouse and children. And then don't get mad when he goes to play basketball once a week. Be happy and support him. And then expect him to be happy and support you when you go off to do your hobby. The next step is to communicate what you want to do in advance. Don't spring it on him a few hours before if you can help it. Put it on a calendar where you both can see it, and then remind him the day before and the day of. You will both be more content if you are both on the same page about when these hobbies are happening. It could look like this. You say, hey, for some alone time this week, I would really like to walk up to that park on the hill and watch the sunset while I drink a hot chocolate. It'll probably take 30 to 45 minutes. Is there a day that would work best for that? And then you figure it out together. And then the day before you say, hey, I was still planning on going down to the park for my quiet time tomorrow. Does that still work? And then the day of you say, okay, I checked the time of the sunset for this evening online and it's at 7:05. I was thinking I should leave about 6:30. What do you think? This formula is much more likely to get your spouse to understand and expect that you need this alone time and that it is important to you, without feeling like he is being taken advantage of or blindsided by your activities. And now it won't be possible always to follow this formula for introducing your hobbies to your husband, but just try and do this whenever possible. The very last tip for not feeling guilty is to just do it. Just go, leave, or stay, I mean, yes, it feels like too much, and you love spending time at home. I know I'm the same, but it's extremely important that you do something small each day and something like this once every week. The more regularly you do things for yourself, the less guilty you will feel. And if you're listening to this podcast, you are not the type of person who is going to start on this path of self-love and giving yourself some me time and then just realize, oh, this is all I ever want to do. I'm never doing anything like that. I'm never going to do the dishes again or hang out with my family because I just love spending time with me so much. No, that's not who you are. That's not going to happen. Don't use that as an excuse to keep you from pursuing your personal development. Okay? You are okay to take some time for yourself. The more regularly you do it, the less guilty you will feel. And then you will prove to yourself that the family still survives, the house still runs, your marriage still lasts, even when, or especially when, you take regular time to develop your own personal hobbies. Now, how do we love ourselves better through developing our hobbies? Here is a mantra. Repeat after me. I am a hard worker. I have lots of responsibilities. One of my responsibilities is to myself. I will make time for myself. I might feel guilty, but I'll do it anyway. As I explore what I love, I'm exploring me. As I explore me, I learn to love me. I learn to love who I am each day. I will be the maker of my own personality. I take an active part in shaping who I am and what I love to do. Yes, you feeling pumped? Email me and tell me what you're doing for your me time. I want to see you learning to love new hobbies. All right, ready for the pop challenge this week? It's to actually just go and do that hobby. It's so easy. It's such a simple thing to do, but will you do it? That's the question. I just want you to schedule a half of an hour and half of an hour for yourself this week. You've got a half hour somewhere. I know it's busy. I know you've got meetings. I know you've got responsibilities. You need a half hour. Where is it going to be? And when you've got that half hour, you're going to do something you love or have been wanting to try. Bust out the paints and go crazy on a canvas. Break into that sewing kit and sew some cloths together. I don't know. I don't sew. Go to a kickboxing gym and punch some things. Set aside 1/2 hour this week. Put it on the calendar and the to-do list and go out and do your hobby. You will feel incredibly enriched and motivated to live true to the person who you want to be. Okay, everyone? Remember to share this with a friend. The more, the merrier. That's about it. I'm Lindsay Clyde. This is the Learn, Live, Love Yourself podcast. Next week, we will hear from Amberly Lambertson, a family life educator, about how to prioritize ourselves and our marriages. See you then. Thanks. Love ya. Bye.